This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone. So today we will discuss electrophiles, nucleophiles, and after that there will be different types of electron displacement effect, and it is inductive effect, electromagnetic effect, resonance effect, and hyperconjugation and related problems we will also discuss. So what is electrophiles and nucleophiles? First we will focus on electrophiles and then it will be nucleophiles. But you have to remember that whatever reactions we see in organic chemistry, it is mostly reaction between a nucleophile and an electrophile. And in last class we have I have just given a little that is primary idea about nucleophile and electrophile. So here phile, this term means affection or attraction. So when I'm saying nucleophile, that means this species has attraction for nucleus, that means it has attraction for electron deficiency or positive charge. And on the other hand, when I'm saying electrophile, that means it has attraction or affection towards some negative charge density or lone pair like this. Fine. So first start with electrophile. So these are the reagents that are attracted towards negative charge or electron rich center. Now this negative charge, it may be direct any negative charge that is present on any atom, suppose oxygen with negative charge O negative, or it may be some electron rich center also. So electron rich center means it may be pi electron, that is suppose we have any CC double bond and there is one pi bond, so that is also electron dense, because compared to sigma bond, in case of pi bond the electrons are loosely held, so that is why it can be easily attracted towards some positive species. So in this case this positive species is electrophile. Now this negative charge, it can, that is this electron density, it can be also a lone pair. So it may be pi electron, it may be direct any negative charge, or it may be some lone pair. Everything is possible. Okay, but whatever it is, electrophiles are attracted towards this type of electron dense species. So if this is electrophile, so obviously now the term electrophilicity means it is the capacity or ability or tendency to accept electrons from a nucleophile. You can also say that accept electrons from a electron deficient species, or you better you say nucleophile, because it is the opposite term. Electrophiles, they will always try to find some nucleophile and vice versa. Electrophiles may be either positively charged or neutral chemical species. Now we know that it is attracted towards some electron dense species, but what is the nature of these electrophiles? These electrophiles, as they are electron deficient species, so directly there may be some positive charge present over this species on a particular atom, or it may be neutral chemical species, but still it is electron deficient. Okay, so both possibilities are there. Now you can see some examples of electrophiles. In the first row, you can see some positively charged electrophiles. Here we have H3O plus. H3O plus means suppose you have water molecule and you have added one more hydrogen. So now there will be positive charge over oxygen. So this is an example of electrophile. Next we have NO plus charge over oxygen. Then NO2 plus, CH3 plus, like this, positive charge over carbon. Now, in the second row, you can see some neutral electrophiles. So, under this heading, we have carbon dioxide, AlCl3, SnCl4, FeCl3, BF3, Br2. Now, if you are thinking how that these species are not carrying some positive charge, unlike the previous 4 examples, but still we are saying that they are electrophiles. But how it is possible? That is the question. So, why it is possible? It is because sometimes there is octet incomplete. So if octet is incomplete, just take this example. Here octet is incomplete. If you consider the central atom boron, and we have total 3 BF bonds, total number of electrons 6. That means here 8 electrons are not present. So it will try to find 2 more electrons. So that is why this species will act as, though it is neutral, but still it will act as electrophiles, and it will search for some electron density. Fine. So now you can see that all Lewis acid, they are actually electrophiles. Now what is Lewis acid? Lewis acid means any species which can accept lone pair. So from the definition you can understand that Lewis acids must be acting as electrophiles because of this tendency to accept electron pair. Okay, so that is the reason here FeCl3 behaves like electrophiles, BF3, which is also having some Lewis acidic character because it has the tendency to attract some lone pair. Okay, so for example, this BF3, I have already shown it. Suppose we have some carbonyl compounds, and in carbonyl compounds we have lone pair over oxygen. Now this oxygen that will be attracted towards this boron, and as a result, now what will happen? There will be interaction between these two. So here the lone pair over oxygen as if it is acting as some electron density. Now electrophilicity, it can arise because of presence of electron deficient atom. So as I have said, AlCl3, this is also some species where octet is not complete, because if you consider AlCl3, this is a central atom and we have total 3 aluminium chlorine bond, and here if you consider electrons, total number of electrons surrounding the central atom is 6, octet is not complete. It is obviously an example of Lewis acid also. So it is electron deficient, that is why it is acting as electrophilicity. Then when there is presence of some d orbital, vacant d orbital, and that is the example of SnCl4. So in case of SnCl4, that is in case of tin, there is presence of vacant d orbital, and that is the reason it can act as electrophile. Then we have when there is any polar pi bond. Now if you draw the structure of CO2, this is actually polar pi bond. So whenever there is polar pi bond, then also it can act as electrophile. Now as it is acting as electrophile, so obviously some nucleophile. So nucleophile, I am writing it in this way. That is a general way I can express nucleophile like this. And electrophile you can express in general way as E plus. This is the common pattern that we follow for, that is the general way you can write any E plus. E plus means electrophiles and Nu minus means nucleophile. Now even if you do not put any negative charge, then also it can be nucleophile. So this nucleophile, suppose as it can attack here, negative charge, now it is over oxygen. So because of this polar nature of these pi bonds, now this can act as electrophile. So you can understand it is attracting electron density from some electron rich species, which is in this case this one. It may be anything. Suppose nucleophile, it may be Cn minus like this. So electrophilicity, it can arise not just because of presence of positive charge, and it may also arise because of these reasons. First of all, vacant d orbital, polar pi bond presence, or if the octet is not complete, and obviously for Lewis acids. So these are the conditions when they are present. That means these species can act as electrophiles. But here one important point you have to remember as note, that though we are saying that positively charged species, we have given some example, but that does not mean that all positively charged species will act as electrophiles. No, that is not the case. Okay, so this point is important. Next we will see nucleophile. Nucleophiles are reagents that are attracted towards positive charge, or it may be some, even if there is no positive charge and there is some electron deficiency, then also nucleophiles will be attracted. Now this if it is a definition of nucleophiles, obviously nucleophilicity is the ability to donate electron to other species, and this other species is electrophile. They are usually, that is, the nucleophiles are usually negatively charged ions, but not necessarily always there will be negatively charged. It may be some electron rich neutral molecule also, and electron rich neutral molecule means there must be some presence of lone pair. One lone pair or more than one lone pair must be present so that it can act as nucleophiles. And all Lewis bases are nucleophiles. Just in case of electrophiles, we have seen all Lewis acids are electrophiles. So obviously now we can say all Lewis bases are electrophiles. And here you can see some examples of this will be nucleophiles. So neutral nucleophiles, we can see here amine, because here we have presence of lone pair over nitrogen. Then we have alcohol. Then we have ether. So in all cases, you can see there is some basically presence of lone pair. And next we have some negatively charged species like hydroxide ion, cyanide, hydride, iodide, and alkoxide. Alkoxide means if you simply remove the H from alcohol, what you get? You get RO minus. So this RO minus is called alkoxide. Fine. So if I am writing here MCH3O minus, it will be called methoxide. If it is CH3CH2O minus, it will be called ethoxide. Okay. So these are examples of nucleophiles. Fine. So now one example I have already seen. Suppose we have carbon dioxide, which is acting as electrophile, then some Cn minus or HO minus it can attack here, so that there will be now bond formation between these two, and there will be O negative. So this type of these are the some possibilities. And RNH2, because of its lone pair, it can also be attracted towards some electrophiles, and also ethers, thiols, etc. So more examples we will see. That is, the more we will proceed in this chapter, that is basic principles and techniques of organic chemistry. More different types of examples of reactions you will see. Then gradually you will be able to understand which species is nucleophile, which species is electrophile. Especially when we'll see some types of organic reactions that are very common in organic chemistry. Then you will be able to see many nucleophiles and electrophiles. Next topic, here we have electron displacement effect in covalent bonds. Now, electron displacement effect means the original position of the electron in any bond, or even if it is not bond, suppose some non-bonded electrons, that can also be present over any atom. So when these electrons are displaced from their original position in any covalent bond, and also if they are some non-bonding electrons, then this type of different effects, as you can see here, names are given: inductive effect, resonance effect, electromeric effect, and hyperconjugation. So for the first three, we have written some letters I, R, E. So in short, they means all these effects. Now, electromeric effect, it is not very common, unlike the other three, but still we will discuss this one also. So the first effect we will see here, inductive effect. Fine. So inductive effect is, to understand it, we have to know basically the electronegativity. Fine. So simply take atom A, which is making a bond with B. So here we have two electrons. Now if I am saying that A is more electronegative than B, then what will happen? In this bond, both the electrons will be closer towards A, because A is more electronegative. That means the electrons are now shifting their original position. They are now close to this A. And as a result, what will happen? There will be some partial negative charge generation. And when there is partial negative charge generation, over B, there will be some partial positive charge generation. Because now electrons are not equally at equal distance from A and B. It is closer towards the atom, which is more electronegative. So it is all about the electronegativity difference between A and B. The more is the difference, more will be this shifting of electrons. So this is a kind of polarization, right? So polarization of a single sigma covalent bond, remember it is sigma bond. Because of this electronegativity difference between these two bonding atoms, that is actually inductive effect. Now when the atom is more electronegative, that will attract the shared pair of electrons, and it will get a fractional negative charge, and this fractional negative charge is denoted by delta minus. Fine. So when we have fully developed negative charge, we write this type of sign, or fully developed positive charge, we write something like this. That is directly negative sign and positive sign. But when it is partial charge development over any atom, not full charge development, how it will be full charge? Because you are not completely breaking the bond. If you are completely breaking the bond, then it can be A minus because A is more electronegative or B plus. But that we are not doing. We are simply having some shifting of electrons. So it is not fully developed positive charge or negative charge. It is partial. So as it is partial, so now what will happen? As if there will be some partial negative charge over A and partial negative charge over B. Okay. It does not transfer electrons from one atom to another, but simply displace the electrons. So it is not that electrons are completely transferred to some other position. No, it is not like that. It is simply displacement of electrons. And because of this displacement, some polarization is occurring in the bond. It is no longer same charge to both sides. That is same charge to the side of A or B. It is not like that. Negative charge will be more to the atom which is more electronegative. So here you can see some bonds where some carbon chains are present and also F is attached. Now we know fluorine is the most electronegative element, so obviously it will draw electron, that whatever electron present in this bond C and F. Here the picture that you are seeing, it is true that some valency are not satisfied, but we are just focusing on the bond. If you actually want to draw the molecule, it will be something like this: CH3, CH2, CH2 and then F. But we have simply ignored this H. We are only focusing on the CC bond and CF bond. Now carbon number 1, it is closest towards F. So that is why here shifting. This type of arrow sign means the arrow is towards F. That means as F is more electronegative, so it is drawing electrons towards itself. And that is why the arrow sign, it is the direction of arrow is towards F. Now carbon number 1, which is directly attached to fluorine, that will have more positive charge. But the effect will still continue to the other atoms. Though mostly the effect will be felt here, but the next carbon also there will be some partial charge generation. And to differentiate that, you can see it is del plus, it is del double delta, this is triple delta. Now when it is single, it is greater than this double and the double is greater than the triple. And there is negative charge of partial negative charge over flow. Now similar thing is also possible if you have some group. Here G is mentioned, but G is any electron donating group. So when we have some electron donating group, now what will happen? The opposite effect will be there. So as it is donating electrons, now positive charge will develop over this atom, right? And the reverse effect, now single del negative over C1, then double del negative, then triple del negative. And as you know, single negative is greater than double del negative, and this one is greater than triple del negative. Fine. So two types of effect we are seeing. So the first effect, as it is drawing electrons, it is basically electron withdrawing group. Any other group is also possible. Suppose NO2 group or chlorine, bromine, that is halogen. So it will draw electron towards it. And this type of effect is known as minus I effect, negative inductive effect. And the second example is positive inductive effect. Okay. So for the plus group, that is the second picture basically. This one is this one. That is the groups that can release electrons. Examples are, you will get more number of examples in case of minus I, but plus I also you can get some examples. So mostly the alkyl groups, CH3, CH2, CH3 ethyl group. Then here we have O negative. Okay, so O negative. So this is the connection point. So that is, it is written in this way. So suppose O negative is attached to any other carbon, that is any other alkyl part or any carbon chain. So O negative, when it is present, then it can show plus I effect. Fine. Don't think that oxygen is electronegative, so why it is showing plus I effect? No, it is not that like that. As oxygen is carrying some negative charge, so it can now play plus I effect. Then COO minus, that means C double bond O, O minus. This group also, it is not CO2H. Remember, it is COO minus. When there is negative charge over oxygen or over C double bond O, O negative or NH minus, like this. So in all these cases, you will get some plus I effect. Fine. And what about the minus I effect? That is minus I group, which is basically the electron withdrawing effect. Here we have NH3 plus NO2. So you can see many high number of examples. And here also we have CO2H, but now it is not carrying any negative charge. It is COOH. Then we have COCl, and also you can see the order. Suppose you have fluorine, chlorine both. So which one will be having more minus I effects? It is F will be having higher minus I effect. Then NO2 is very good electron withdrawing, another group which can draw electron. And NH3 plus. Now see, this spacing is directly carrying some positive charge, so it is highly electron deficient. So it is obviously it will draw electron. So that is why it has the maximum minus I effect. So this is the order of minus I effect of some withdrawing groups, and also you can see the examples of electron withdrawing groups which can show minus I effect. Okay. After inductive effect, next effect we are going to see is electromedic effect. In general, capital E we use. It involves complete transfer of electrons of a multiple bond. So try to understand the difference. In the previous case, we have not seen any double bond. That is, we have not dealt with pi bond. It is only sigma bond when we have discussed inductive effect. But now, when it is electromedic effect, you have to consider some multiple bonds such as C double bond O, C double bond C, or it may be C triple bond C. So pi bond must be present. And here complete transfer of electrons from one atom to other atom occurs. And that is not just happening without any reason, obviously in presence of some attacking reagent. Now, depending on this attacking reagent, whether the attacking reagent is carrying some negative charge or it is carrying some positive charge, depending on that, there may be two types of electromedic effect. Now, this effect is temporary in nature. It can happen only when in presence of the attacking reagent. If you are removing the attacking reagent, it will not happen. Okay. So it is temporary in nature because the molecule acquires its original electronic condition, that is the original position of the electrons, that will be achieved if you are removing the attacking reagent. So unlike the previous effect, inductive effect is something which is not temporary. If there is some withdrawing group or donating group, the effect is permanent. It is not that we are bringing some outside attacking reagent and then there is some temporary electron. No, it is not that. That is the case here, not inductive in case of inductive effect. And as I have said, there is two types of electromagnetic effect. Pi electrons can be transferred towards attacking reagent, or it can be transferred away from the attacking reagent. And that depends on whether the attacking reagent is positively charged species or negatively charged species. Now suppose for E plus effect, that is for this effect, if we have some CC double bond, what groups are present in these two sides, that is not important. There may be any groups present. Okay. And if you want to see E, that is minus E effect, sorry, it is not E plus, it is plus E. If I am writing E plus, that means as if it is electrophile. No. So it is plus E effect, it is minus E effect. So in case of minus E effect, again I have drawn the same CC double bond. There may be any groups present in these four positions. And now some attacking agent I will write. Transfer towards attacking agent. Now in this case, the attacking agent will be positively charged. So here I have written H plus. And here I have written Cn negative, cyan. So in the first case, what will happen? The pi electrons that will be transferred towards this H plus. And in the second case, this negative charge, that is the, the pi electrons, suppose pi electrons are here present, that will be shifted away from Cn. Why? Because Cn will attack here, and that is the result. These pi electrons that will be now shifting to the left hand side carbon. So from the first case, what you will get? You will get, as suppose this is carbon number 1, this is 2, this is carbon number 1, this is 2. So carbon number 1 is basically will be attached to this H, and as a result, now what will happen? Carbon number 2 will acquire some positive charge, because this electron density that is present here, now this electron density, it is part of this bond. So that is why now the right hand side carbon, which is number 2 carbon, that will develop some positive charge. Fine. So this type of in presence of some outside attacking reagent, when pi electrons are transferred to it, then it is positive electromagnetic effect. And in the second case, what will happen? Now electron density will be accumulated in the C1, and this Cn that will be attached here. So you can understand the difference between these two. In the second case, the pi electrons transferred away from the attacking reagent. Now the electron density accumulated at carbon number 1 and carbon number 2 is attached to the negatively charged species, that is the attacking reagent. So here we will see some, we will compare electromagnetic effect and inductive effect. This is temporary effect. It can occur only in presence of some outside attacking reagent, and depending on whether it is positive charge or negative charge, it may be two types of electromagnetic effect possible. But inductive effect, it is already occurring in the molecule. It is not occurring in presence of something, some outside reagent. It is already happening in the molecule. So that is, it is permanent. In this case, that is electromagnetic effect, pi electrons are involved. Pi electrons are actually shifted, not the sigma electrons. But in case of inductive effect, we have seen only the sigma electrons are shifted. There is no question of pi electrons. Then the next difference, presence of external reagent is required for this effect to occur, but no external reagents needed for the second effect, that is the inductive effect, to occur. In case of electromagnetic effect, complete separation of electron pairs to one of the atom is taking place, and that we have already seen. Remember, complete transfer of electrons. So complete transfer of electrons, that means now all the, you can also draw it like this. Suppose if I am breaking the CC pi bond, there will be negative charge here. Now as if this negative charge is attacking H plus. But rather than drawing it like this, you can directly attack this H plus, and as it is directly attacking this H plus, the electrons will be shifted to that carbon with which the H will be attached. So as it is now shifted towards this, you can shift the electron towards any direction. But why I am doing this? Because H plus I have written in this side. So now it will be CH bond here. Sorry, in this case, don't think that it is written in this way. So, okay, let me clear it so that two different, if I'm drawing it in different way, it will create some confusion. So let me draw it like this, as if both these electrons, it is attracted towards H plus, and now in C1 there will be some positive charge, and here we will get some CH bond. So now you can see both are same. So the last difference, complete separation of electron pairs to one of the atom, but in case of inductive it is partial separation. So we are not getting any ion. Here you can see some, as it is complete transfer of electrons, there is some charge generation. And the other example where cyano is used as attacking reagent, then negative charge generation. But in case of inductive effect, we have not seen any charge generation. Okay, it is partial separation. So only del negative charge or del positive charge is generated. That's it. Now we have the third effect, which is resonance effect, and in some cases it is also called mesomeric effect. Not all cases, some cases. In short, these effects are known as R and M. R for resonance, M for mesomery. Certain organic compounds can be represented by more than one structure. So when it is possible, then obviously they differ only in the position of bonding and lone pair of electrons. So we are expressing the structures in more than one form, but we are not changing the position of any atom. There is change only of the bonds. So they differ only in the position of bonds. Bonds are changing their position, not the atoms are changing their positions. And lone pair can also be changed. Their position can be changed. That is the only possibility. So in certain organic compounds, they can be represented by more than one structure, and sometimes the average of these structures, that is the hybrid of this structure, is considered as the actual structure. Okay, so such structures are called resonance or canonical structures. Resonance structures or canonical structures, and the phenomena is called resonance. Okay, so we will see some examples here, but we'll see these examples under some heading. So here you can see the heading. We have pi electrons of a double bond. You know, when there is a double bond, just take CC double bond. There is some pi electrons because there is one pi bond, one sigma. So resonance can happen between pi electrons of a double bond and the non-bonding electrons. So if this is happening, so suppose we have RC double bond O, this R may be any alkyl group. Now for resonance structure to draw, we use this type of sign, double-headed arrow. Now this negative charge, if it is making a double bond between carbon and oxygen, now the other C double bond O, this pi bond will be broken and the negative charge will be over other oxygen. Now the new structure that you will get, it will be, now the negative charge is here and C double bond O is here. Now these two structures are actually equivalent. If I am removing this arrow, as if these two structures are same. If you are numbering the oxygen as 1 and 2, it is true that in first structure 2 is carrying negative charge, in the second structure 1 is carrying the negative charge. But actually, if I am not numbering it, they are equivalent structures, right? So sometimes in resonance you can get equivalent structure, and the hybrid of these two structure, that is the average structure that we will consider, it will be like this. It is not CH3, I have written it as R. So it will be R, C, O, O. And as this pi bond is shifting between oxygen number 1 and 2, so in this way you can draw with some dotted line, and the negative charge is here. You can also draw it like this. I am drawing it in the left hand side. Oxygen, oxygen, and as if negative, del negative, del negative. So as if I am that is dividing this full negative charge by 2 over these two oxygen. So this will be the average structure. So here these pi electrons of a double bond. So this is the pi electrons, right? So it is undergoing resonance with some non-bonding electrons. So here we have these non-bonding electrons, which is not part of any bond. So this is the example under this heading, right? Next heading we have pi electrons of a double bond and positive charge. So suppose we have some CC double bond like this. Then there is CC single bond and we have some positive charge. You can also draw the full structure like this. Sorry, it is not CH3. Otherwise, how it will be positive charge? It is CH2 plus. Now what I will do, the pi electrons of the double bond, that will be, so here we have some pi electrons. So this pi bond will be broken and that will be coming in this position. So in the resonance structure, now the left hand side carbon, that will acquire some positive charge because pi bond is broken, and a new pi bond will be formed in the right hand side. Okay. Here also you can draw the average structure like this, because positive charge as if distributed over these two carbon. So that is why you can draw it like this. Fine. So here under this heading, pi electrons of a double bond, it is undergoing resonance with a positive charge. One more example also I can give you. Suppose we have benzene ring and there is CH2 plus. Now this double bond inside the ring, it can undergo resonance like this. And now the new resonance structure, positive charge is here and CC double bond, newly generated CC double bond. It will be like this. So this is also example under this heading. Another possibility is delocalization of pi electrons of two or more conjugated bond. Now you will not have any negative charge or positive charge or lone pair. It can be between two double bond. So two or more conjugated bond. Conjugated bond means this is an example of conjugated bond. Suppose if I am drawing it like this, two sigma bonds and then I have written another pi bond. So if this is the case, then it is not conjugated. Okay. So this example you cannot take for resonance to show resonance. Now in this case resonance is possible. How? So suppose this first double bond, if it is broken and it is coming here, it is making a double bond here. Now this double bond, it will be shifting electron here. So the new resonance structure that we will get, total 4 carbon. Now positive charge will be here because we have shifted these electrons. We have made a new bond, new pi bond. Let me number 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2 pi bond we have broken. At 1, 2, 3 position there is new pi bond. And negative charge will be at 4 carbon. So these are also the examples of delocalization, that is a resonance. It is actually delocalization because the localized electron means suppose if you are not drawing the resonance structure, the electrons are localized in this position. But you are changing the position of these electrons. See, in the definition it is mentioned, differ only in the position of bonding and lone pair of electrons. So bonding electrons are changing their position. Pi bond is now shifted from 1 to position to 2, 3. So that is why we are getting new resonance structure, and here positive charge is generated at this position because we have removed the electron from it. Negative charge is now at 4 position. So this is also example between two pi bonds, and these two pi bonds, it may be some C double bond O also, that is also possible. So in this case also, now the negative charge will be here. Okay. So these are the resonance structures. So in this way, under 3 different heading, you can see some examples of resonance occurring in different molecules. Sometimes the molecule is carrying positive charge, sometimes negative charge, sometimes it is neutral. So everything is possible. And one more example also you can see. Suppose we have some CC double bond and here we have NH2. Now this will be also under the heading of first heading, because in this case this lone pair over nitrogen, if it is here, now as if the electron density will be here. Now better I show it with some carbonyl group, that will be better example. So RCONH2, this is example of amide. Now if these two electrons, if it is making a double bond here, negative charge will be over oxygen. So in the new structure there will be negative charge over oxygen, and nitrogen will be now positively charged because it has donated electrons. So this is also example under the first heading, because in the first heading it is resonance of pi electrons of a double bond. So the pi electrons present between oxygen and carbon, and the non-bonding electrons is lone pair of nitrogen. Okay. Now this is all about resonance. Now sometimes this resonance phenomena is also called mesomerism or mesomeric effect. Now try to understand the difference with resonance. Not in all cases you can call it mesomerism. Mesomeric effect occurs which describes the distribution of the charge in the compound and helps to decide the point at which electrophile or nucleophile will attack. See, Electrophile means what? E plus. Nucleophile means what? Some Nu, that is, it may be having some negative charge or lone pair. It is some electron rich species. Now, in resonance, previous examples you have seen that after resonance, in certain point there is some more electron density. In certain point there is some less electron density. That is, in some cases there is positive charge. Now, if after resonance you are getting some accumulation of negative charge, obviously that is the place where E plus can interact. Where positive charge is generated, nucleophile can interact. So mesomeric effect, this term you will use only in those cases where there is some distribution of charge in the compound in presence of some functional group. And because of this effect, and these functional groups may be electron withdrawing or it may be electron donating. Both examples we will see. And because of this special type of functional group, when there is some accumulation of positive charge or negative charge in the molecule, and accordingly electrophile nucleophiles can attack, then only you can say it is mesomerism. Positive mesomeric effect. Groups which donate electrons to the double bond or to a conjugated or aromatic system are said to have plus R or plus M. Now you can use both the terms. Now this type of groups, when present with a double bond or with a conjugated system. Conjugated system means, remember, suppose these type of systems are there and then you have some OH group. Or it may be aromatic. Mostly in aromatic ring system, if you have this type of groups, mostly we use the term mesomeric effect. Okay. And when you have some open structure like this, mostly we use the resonance term. But whatever effect it is, you just have to understand what is the theory behind it. Why the electrons are shifting. So in presence of OH, what happens? Now because of this lone pair, this type of shifting of electrons can be possible, and as a result, now negative charge is accumulated here, new double CC double bond, and here we will have CO double bond. Oxygen is now positively charged. So here OH group is showing some plus M effect or plus R effect to a conjugated system. If it is only one double bond, that is also possible. Now we will see this example of OH showing plus R on plus M in benzene ring. So in benzene ring, the position of these three double bonds, now because of this donating effect, now this double bond is changing its, that is the pi bond is broken. This is pi bond, this is broken. As a result, there is accumulation of negative charge, right? Now this negative charge again can make bond in this position. Now the accumulation of negative charge here, and in the next structure. So all these are basically different resonance structure of phenol. This is phenol molecule. Now see, in this molecule, there is negative charge accumulation in this position, that is the ortho position, and para position. That means in presence of some electrophile, suppose you are treating phenol with some electrophile. So this electrophile will be attracted to these ortho positions, two ortho position and one para. So because of this plus M effect of OH group in benzene, electrophiles, when it will attack, it will prefer these particular positions. So these positions will not be preferred at all because there is no negative charge, right? Next, negative mesomeric effect. So if you have understood negative, positive mesomeric effect, the next one you can easily understand. Groups which withdraw electrons from the double bond, or it may be from some conjugated system towards themselves due to resonance. Now the previous examples we have seen with this type of molecule. Now the same type of molecule, if now I am drawing, suppose I am drawing CN. So in case of CN, now what will happen? The reverse effect can occur. So in this reverse effect, as if now in the previous case what we have seen, accumulation of negative charge at this position. But now accumulation of positive charge will be here because now the electrons are, their direction is towards other side. So in the resonance structure, what you will get, there will be some positive charge here, newly generated CC bond. Then in this position, there will be CC double bond, right? And negative charge will be over nitrogen. So try to understand the difference. Here we are seeing a minus M effect or R effect, from where we have attached electron withdrawing group cyano to this conjugated system. But we can also see same type of example that you have seen in case of phenol. Now when NO2 group is attached to benzene ring, the opposite effect you can see. Now electrons are shifting towards nitrogen. Nitrogen is here coordinate bond is shown, but you can also draw the structure like this. If you are not placing coordinate bond, then you have to write it O minus N plus. But after all, it is same thing. Both ways are fine. So now the electrons are moving away from the ring, and that is the reason now there is positive charge. So positive charge at ortho position, then positive charge at para position. This is ortho, this is para, and again it is at ortho position. That means when electron withdrawing group is present, where you are seeing some minus M effect, this is plus M. Second one is minus M. So when there is minus M effect, there is generation of accumulation of positive charge at this ortho position and also this para position. That means when you will be treating this molecule with some E plus will not be attracted to ortho and para position. Rather, it will prefer these two meta position, because compared to ortho para, at meta position, obviously electro positive character is not so high, right? So in this way, you can understand that what is the point. It helps us, this type of mesometric effect helps us to decide at which point electrophile nucleophile will attack. Now details of this basically you will be able to understand in a better way when we actually see electrophilic substitution reaction in benzene ring, but that is later in this chapter, not now. So then you will be able to understand actually what is plus M effect, minus M effect, which is mostly it helps us, that is, it has significance only in case of these benzene ring reactions. Fine. Here we will discuss this problem based on whatever we have learned in this class. Here we have total 4 molecules given, A, B, D and C, and it is asking that the molecule, or it may be more than one, because some options there is more than one molecule. The molecule or molecules that has or have delocalized lone pairs of electrons that you have to choose. Now come to the first one. Here we have delocalized, that can have delocalized lone pair. So in the first molecule, you have lone pair here. You can say that lone pair we also have to the carbonyl carbon oxygen, but this non-bonding electron that cannot take part in resonance. Only this type of oxygen that can take part in resonance. But see, in this molecule, resonance is not possible because you do not have any double bond. That is the position, we have pi bond here, but the position of pi bond is not in the position where we actually require it. Suppose if the double bond position is somewhere here, and then you have lone pair of oxygen, then it can be the part of resonance. But here C double bond O, whether it is C double bond or C double bond C, that is not important. Important point is whether the pi bond is adjacent to it. It is not adjacent to it, so it is far from it, and there is a sigma bond. So these electrons, both side, resonance is not possible. So here, lone pair of electrons will not get the chance to be delocalized. Okay, and this lone pair, no question at all. What about B? In case of B, now see, this lone pair can take part in resonance with this electron, and the new resonance structure that you are getting, now negative charge is here, this double bond is intact, CO double bond, oxygen is positive, CH3, so this type of resonance is possible. So B should be correct, but A is not correct. That means B is correct, A is not correct. If you are sure, obviously this cannot be correct option. And in option 2 also B is not present, ACD. So just A and B we have checked, and still we can understand that correct answer will be this one, right? But we will also check the other two. In the third molecule, we have lone pair here. Carbonyl oxygen lone pair will never can take part in resonance. Even if you have Only if you have carbonyl carbon and then you have some CC double bond here, then this type of resonance is possible. But see here, the lone pair of oxygen is not taking part in resonance, even if you have adjacent CC double bond. So this lone pair, it is not helping us. We have to check the lone pair of a nitrogen whether it can take part in resonance. Now here we have pi bond, that is fine. But the pi bond, the presence should be somewhere here. Then only CN triple bond it can show resonance. So suppose the CC double bond is here, then you have some CN bond. Now resonance is possible. That is, this double bond, if it is shifting here, then these pi electrons are that is changing its position. But still, can you say that this lone pair is actually taking part? No, that is also not the case where this lone pair is taking part, even if you have double bond. But we don't have any double bond. So in whatever way you choose these lone pairs or these lone pairs, they cannot take part in resonance. Fine. What about D? Why it is not possible? Here we have lone pair over NH. So this is secondary amine. Both sides you have some alkyl groups. Now this double bond, this lone pair, and we have double bond here. But suppose the double bond is adjacent to it, then only this type of resonance is possible. Now this can take part in resonance. But the CC double bond is far from it. 2 sigma bonds, then there is resonance. It should be only after 1 sigma bond. Then resonance is possible. So in none of this ACD, we are getting delocalization, and that is why it will not be correct. Only V is the correct molecule where delocalized lone pair of electrons possible. Correct order of acidity. Now, obviously, here when we'll find the order of acidity, we will apply the theories that we have seen, that is electron displacement. It will help us to understand. Here, A and B, in these two cases, we have OH group, and this H is basically responsible to show acidity, right? Now, if it is showing acidity, and in case of C and D, the carboxyl hydrogen is basically responsible for acidity. Now, whenever you have any OH group acidity and CO2H group acidity, obviously CO2H hydrogen will always be more acidic compared to OH. Because what happens when you have some CO2H group, I'm writing it in generally, R group may be benzene ring or any other group. But important point is when you have CO2H group and after removal of this H, you are getting this conjugate base. Now in this conjugate base, this type of resonance is possible. But when you have OH group, after H removal, you have simply this negative charge. So in R, if there is some double bonds, then resonance possible. That is, if it is benzene ring, then resonance is possible. But see, in case of CO2H, even if you do not consider any double bonds in the R part, then also resonance is possible. That means it will always be more acidic. The negative charge generated after proton removal, that is actually the conjugate base. And when conjugate base is very stable, obviously acidity is very high. Why I am saying so? So suppose you have any general acid, HA, and when you are deprotonating it, you are getting H plus and A minus. So this minus is the A minus is the conjugate base. And if conjugate base is very stable, that means that this reaction can be easily removed from left hand side to right hand side. And when A minus is very stable, that means dissociation of HA to H plus and A minus is also very high. So stability of conjugate base high means acidity of HA is also high. So that is why we are talking about conjugate base stability. So one thing we are sure that C and D that should be more acidic compared to A and B. Now CD at first position compared to A and B, that you can get in the first two, right? Not the next two. Now if we are stuck between these two, now among C and D, in case of D, you have some CH3 group which is donating group, and in case of A and B, you have chlorine, right? Now chlorine is it will show minus I effect. Minus I effect because of its electronegative character. Through these sigma bonds, it can show minus I effect. So still it will stabilize the negative charge that will be generated after this proton removal. So compared to A, in case of B, the conjugate base will be more stable because of its electron withdrawing character. And here we have some donating character, donating group, and this is basically plus I. You cannot have minus R or you cannot have plus R effect here because CH3 groups it can only show plus I. Now in case of Cl, it will be minus I. So considering all this, we can say C will be maximum because we already know that C and D more acidic than A and B. Now among C and D, C is winning over D, and among A and B, B is winning over A. That is why we have chosen this order. Now one point I would like to mention, extra information, that this halogen when present in benzene ring, they are very interesting because they can simultaneously show minus I effect and also they can show plus R effect. How they can show plus R effect? Because there is some lone pair present over chlorine. So it can accumulate negative charge at this position or this position. Fine. But remember, whenever you will consider whether this halogen is activating the benzene ring, activating means whether it is increasing electron density or not. When some other reagents are, it is helping to attack. Always remember, you have to consider minus I effect. It will win over the plus R effect. So that is why in this case, you have to consider minus I effect. If you are giving more importance to plus R, then your answer will be wrong. Then as if A is coming before B, but that is not the case. Okay, because in B, Cl is only playing the withdrawing effect, not the plus R effect will be dominating. Okay, so that is why option 1, that will be the correct order of acidity. So in this problem, that is how we have solved the problem. We have seen how the resonance effect is occurring, how the inductive effects are occurring. So resonance here you have seen in case of CO2H conjugate base it is possible. We have seen the plus I effect. So all these effects are actually helping us to decide the correct order of acidity of these molecules. 2 examples are phenol based, 2 examples are benzoic acid based. Okay. So we will end the session here. Thank you for listening.